Good morning. And my personal welcome to all of you. My name is Anand Krishnan. I am the Chief Technology Officer of TCS, and very, very privileged and happy to be here at the TCS Innovation Forum for Latin America. Over the next few minutes, I will expand on what you heard from Henry and then from Krishnan on Business 4.0. But I will look at it from my lens, which is the future. The research and innovation agenda of TCS that you saw in the film is my responsibility. We have been on this journey of bringing in the thought leadership, the technology research, and the ecosystem to ourselves and to our partners and to you, our customers, for the last many, many years. And we call this the 5 V's that we deliver to our business. Each of these is measured in a significant way. We essentially say that we have to deliver velocity, we have to deliver value, we have to have a variety of things, we have to build a vibrant culture, and we have to make sure that we have a vision for the future, which is Business 4.0. The 5 V's are delivered through those elements that you saw in the film: research, innovation, incubation, the co-innovation network, and the culture initiatives. You will hear and see a lot of these examples in the booths and stalls and also in the breakout sessions. But my view in this is that while we invest in this, we have to be able to listen to all the partners, all the customers, all the stakeholders all over the world to do this. So this meeting is very valuable to me personally and all to my team. So your feedback, your thoughts on what we should be doing, how we should be improving, and how we should be doing this differently will be very useful. Now, coming to Business 4.0. I'm going to give you dimensions. Each of the dimensions, what are we doing to invest for the future? The first dimension of mass personalization, using technology to create products, services, experiences at enormous scale. That is what the digital native companies do. How does a normal company create the same exciting products and services? Personalization has been there in our businesses for many years, but there is now an opportunity to take this to the completely next level by using artificial intelligence, using analytics, design thinking, and maybe some of the more deep research that we're doing in behavior sciences, for example, with Yale University, on how do we very, very subtly understand the behavior of one individual or a population of individuals and influence it to be different. I'll give you 2 examples of what we are doing inside TCS. Fit for Life is a program that has been running inside TCS for the last 5 or 6 years. It allows every TCS person to set a target of personal fitness, to say that I will run so many miles or walk so many miles or bicycle or swim or any physical activity, even going to the gym. And the company will then donate an equal amount of money to a charity. So it makes us fit as employees, and it also helps the company's charity program. Now we're bringing in significant technology into this now, with wearables, with personal analytics, with apps to drive the experience, and now this program is on a very different trajectory. On a very different dimension, with people with digital and physical disabilities. You will hear one of our speakers later in the day on the digital divide, where people without eyesight or any physical capability should not be left behind in the digital revolution. In our labs in India, we have been working significantly in improving the accessibility of digital materials to people who are blind. And 30,000 books have been already put on this platform, and many more, tens of thousands, are coming in, so that the digital experience is not something that is away from people with disabilities. What about exponential value? Exponential value is coming in a big way because of Business 4.0, because it allows organizations, industries, companies to change their fundamental business models. Internet of Things, of course, is a strong enabler of these new business models, whether it's in the telecom industry, whether it's in the insurance industry, the manufacturing industry, automotive industry, health industry, and many others. But the technology is the enabling layer where we are bringing in a lot of thought and innovation is in those new business models which can be built on top of the Internet of Things capability. You will have an opportunity later in the program today to hear some of us talk about data marketplaces, because data is becoming widely available and spanning across industry boundaries. It can be a game changer for new business models. There are issues in terms of data privacy and so on, but we have to be able to see what we can do to solve that. I'll take two examples. Blockchain as a technology has hit the headlines, but we have been working in a very practical way in our banking product, the core banking product, TCS Banks, and we have created a component called Quartz, which is an enabler for banks to create new business models in the financial services ecosystem using blockchain technology, not as cryptocurrencies, but for corporate actions, for trading, for financial market analytics, and so on, in real time. Another example is in the energy industry, the energy producers and the energy utilities and the energy consumers. Using technologies like blockchain, using technologies like advanced analytics, predictive models, can we create energy value chains? If electric cars become widely available across the world 10 years from now, they will provide a massive energy storage capacity in vehicles, in everybody's garage and house. Can that be connected to the grid and be used for a very new way of energy trading? These are the kinds of things which will create exponential business models. What about embracing risk? This is something which is going to be fundamentally different in Business 4.0. By reducing the cost of failure, companies will be able to experiment much more quickly in much shorter agile cycles. Because today, when you have to try something new, the risk of failure, of compliance, of business risk, of financial risk, of any other kind of risk is what holds us back from innovation. But if by using technology, we are able to reduce the risk of failure, our agility as businesses will improve substantially. Whether it's in compliance, this is an area which every regulated industry, banking, pharmaceuticals, aerospace, has to include as part of the business model. And it is quite difficult, it's quite expensive, and if something bad happens, the risk is in the newspaper headlines tomorrow morning. How does one use artificial intelligence? How does one use the principles of analytics, of natural language processing, to bring this kind of capability so that compliance is automated? My research labs, the banking financial services labs, some of Krishnan's teams, we're working actively in Europe with some of the regulations like MiFID II and GDPR to try and see if we can change the game from a compliance perspective. GDPR itself is becoming a benchmark regulation because every country now wants to study the European model of data protection and adopt that as a standard. The core of GDPR is private data is controlled by the originator or the owner. what's called fine-grained privacy controls. And that is something which, again, our labs, our university partnerships are building, and see if each of us want to view and control our data at the smallest level, how easy, how difficult is it, how does it integrate with business models. These kinds of thought leadership will help us create those new embrace risk models. Ecosystems is something which is part of the DNA of TCS. We have been working with universities, with startups, with our strategic partners, and with customers right from 1968. You are familiar with the Co-Innovation Network. There are several Co-Innovation Network partners in the booths and stalls outside this area, and I'm sure you'll find them interesting. But the ability for us to have a real example of the Co-Innovation Network come to life was in Europe just a few months ago, where we were able to put together a fully digital bank by combining 4 fintechs and TCS intellectual property as a core binding factor. And within 8 weeks, a fully digital bank was demonstrated to the board members of the bank. And that made the whole idea of ecosystems, of fintech, and about APIs and technology, of course, come to life to this board to say, if TCS and 4 startups can do this in 8 weeks, why are we taking 6 years to change our core banking systems? That is the kind of reality which is possible today with the ecosystems. I mentioned the data marketplace as well, and the stall in the exhibition area will tell you much more about it, how data can become a currency for the future. The abundance area is, I think, the most exciting part of Business 4.0. Today, when you look at the Business 4.0 companies, the truly digital companies, which are often talked about, whether in Silicon Valley or in China or other parts of the world, the true digital native companies, they have this mindset of abundance to say capital is abundant, talent is abundant, resources are abundant, and it's just the question of finding the right problem and solving it. There are 2 examples that I'd like to give you. One is the abundance of talent. For many years, TCS has created a network, a social network of students. Now, I believe there are more than 2 million students who are part of TCS's campus network. So for the last few years, we've been running a programming contest on the social network, and then it is a final big event which comes to life as an actual competition where people write code in 6 hours and try to win it. This programming contest is called Code Vita, and this year, 100,000 students across the world participated. The first prize went to a student from India who is in his final year of engineering, and he had attempted this competition 3 times. And he said, at least on the 4th try, I came first. The second prize was to an American student from California, and the third prize was to a Czech student from Prague. The point I'm trying to make is that this kind of global ecosystem of really talented people brought together by a platform is what is the art of the possible today. We are trying to create a part of that within TCS itself with our hackathon platform, which now is an industrial platform. If you have challenges that you want to give to TCS, the 400,000 people in TCS, we will run that challenge on our platform. Maybe 2,000, maybe 4,000 people will participate. The trick is to give a good challenge and good prizes. Right? So for the price of whatever, iPads or Apple Watches and so on, you will get 4,000 people to work on your problem and produce a result which might be surprising for you. And within 4 weeks, you get a good answer. So this is the way in which talent abundance can be leveraged. The spirit of co-innovation, therefore, is what I would like to emphasize. This is, I think, the way in which TCS is investing for the future. We believe that we have some capabilities and they are important. You have capabilities as customers and partners, whether you're startups, whether they're universities, whether they are strategic technology companies. We have to work on this together. The Innovation Forum is a great way by which we can bring this to life at least once a year. We have been in New York just 2 days ago, and we had a very similar group of very enthusiastic customers, partners, TCS research and innovation people, and business leadership. We're going to be in London next week, and then later in the year in Japan and in Australia as well. This is, as I said, very useful to me personally, and I'm sure it will be useful to you as well. To conclude, this is the journey that we are on. That we, over the last 5 or 6 years, have been answering the question, what can technology do for business? As you can see, in the early days, 2014, the messages were very much about technology and process and digital. But there have been a very significant shift to why are these technologies important? Why should we have a smarter, faster, lighter enterprise, and today a Business 4.0 enterprise? So I'd like to leave you with that thought as a basis for what you will see and hear in the later sessions. This is, I believe, as important as the Industrial Revolution was 200 years ago, and we are very lucky to be part of that whole story. Good luck, and thank you.